right, we're here at the Reeds Festival with the one and only Tanya Stephens. How's your experience been so far at the festival? What can you tell us about it?
Well, I had a lot of fun. What can I say? It's a really great job because it never feels like working, and especially when you have a great audience that came out to enjoy themselves, and it's just amazing. And tonight was amazing.
Now, you've been to Switzerland a few times before, right?
Yes, I have.
Is there something that's most memorable for you when you're here?
Well, a lot of things. It's funny, I love the smaller cities like Interlaken. When I was there, I went up in the mountains and I had the water from the lake, and it's so beautiful and unspoiled. You know, it's something that I wish I could duplicate everywhere in the world. It's really, really nice. I love it. I love Switzerland though. And I love your chocolate. Too much.
Because you've lived in Europe before, right? In Sweden, is that correct?
Yes, I used to live in Sweden.
All right. But what did you like about living in Europe?
Well, you know what? When I moved to Europe, that was my first extended stay outside of Jamaica. What I really liked was the different perspective. You know, you meet other people and you learn another culture and you understand that the world is a much bigger place than your neighborhood. And I think it gave me more appreciation for the diversity of humans. I became a little bit softer. I used to be a bad man. And then Sweden kind of just made me into a little bit softer person. I like that because, you know, I had so much more empathy, I think, and compassion and much more love. And then I was less afraid to be different, to be myself, because I realized that the people from my neighborhood are just a small fraction of the people on the planet. And diversity is the only thing that can describe us all throughout the universe. So, yeah, I loved that. I learned a lot from being there.
All right. Now, you mentioned in other interviews before the importance of artists being conscious about their lyrics. Can you tell us a little bit about what effect an artist can have if he's either conscious or very unconscious about his lyrics?
Well, the thing about it is, I think we have an obligation to ourselves to be aware of what it is we say. Now, if you say something bad, that's going to have a bad effect on people, but you know that's what you're doing and it's what you want to do, and you're prepared to face the consequences of it, then fine. But it's kind of, I think it's irresponsible of us to just rhyme words, you know? Especially because so many impressionable people listen to us, not just children, but many adults listen to us too who haven't yet decided on their direction, and they look to everybody they listen to for inspiration, including but not limited to us. So I think it is our responsibility to the universe to put some good stuff in it, because we have to live with this.
Absolutely. Now, in 2011 at the University of West Indies, you mentioned about how the music that once used to spread peace and love now condemns and provokes. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, the music reflects what's going on in society, you know. And if that's what's popular at the moment, then that's what's going to come in the music. But I do believe we have the capability, we have the capacity to look at something and decide that it's not a good thing and just not emulate it. Unfortunately, many of us have never had the opportunity to see every human close up. So sometimes when we say stuff that hurt other people, we really don't realize just how much hurt it does. You know, especially when you're socialized to behave in a particular kind of way. When you're growing up in Jamaica, I grew up in an Anglican household, Church of England. I grew up in a small town with some very rigid values which don't make sense at all. You know, and I grew up taking instructions from people who understood life much less than I do now. So, you know, it's not even anybody's fault that they behave the way they do. They're just trained to. So the most we can do is keep sharing information and spreading awareness.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, right?
I think so.
Now, do you believe that women are still strongly objectified in music?
Oh my God, more than ever.
How so?
Women, we've taken a beating. We're pretty much we're compared to cars. We're described by parts of our bodies. We're used as accessories. Our naked bodies used to sell everything from cigarette to cars. We used to sell engine oil, things which have nothing to do with us. And so we've been giving young girls, impressions of themselves as objects. And this is what media as a whole does. Not just music, but music, movies, everything about media does that, So I'm not blaming music, but we really have been beating up the women, especially the guys who claim to love us. Guys, things you love, you don't hurt them. I don't think you love us at all.
But do you think that can change in the future?
Everything can change. The only thing that's constant about life is change. Everything can change, but it depends on whether we're willing to take responsibility for our actions. Because most of us act as if we're byproducts of something else outside of us. We act like there's some aliens coming from outer space and doing things on the planet. It's us doing it. If we decide to stop doing this, it stops.
Absolutely. Now, in your song Still Alive, you talk about the discrimination of people with HIV, right? What do you think needs to happen for this discrimination to stop?
Again, the spread of information. Some of the conversations that I have, to be honest with you, I had these opinions, but I never had the reason to have a conversation about them until I was invited to be a part of a movement, which the Caribbean Broadcast Media Partnership Against HIV/AIDS, CBMP from the Caribbean, invited me to be a part of their organization and, just spreading awareness. And that's when I really realized how necessary the conversation was. Because when you're going about your business, you drive past, you see a man you don't know he's suffering from HIV, and you don't realize that his life has become harder for it. You don't know, but going around and having conversations, real conversations with people, it became so painful. And the song came from that, because I think it's important that we move the conversation from a state where we're giving instructions to a point where we're actually discussing. And we need to portray all these scenarios so people can actually see themselves in it. We have to appeal to the empathy. We have to make people see that this could be you. You can't be talking about some guy in some far off place. You have to be talking about John right here, so that John can understand that, oh my God, that's what you mean,
Now, I got to ask you about your restaurant, H2O. How's that going? And what made you decide to open up a restaurant?
Oh, wow. I opened up a restaurant for the two worst reasons. Well, it was a restaurant and bar, and the two worst reasons were I love food and I love liquor.
That's good enough, right?
I was my own biggest customer, which is bad. It was fun. We had live music on the weekends, and all my friends who are musicians on the North Coast came over and jammed, and it was really fun. But my accountant didn't like it. It wasn't the most feasible thing I ever did, but it was the most fun. And I ended it because it just wasn't the most feasible thing I ever done.
It's a tough business as well.
Yeah, I mean, music is a tough. Every business is tough. There's no such thing as an easy business. If it's easy, it's not business. But it just wasn't my business. I'm supposed to be the guy on the front of the counter, sitting on a stool, getting drunk and talking foolishness. I'm not supposed to be the one who owns that place. I don't need to think about all that stuff.
Yeah. Now, you also did some acting on the TV show Royal Palm Estate. Sorry to mention this, but are you going to continue to pursue an acting career?
Well, I never pursued an acting career. I was invited to be a part of it because they wanted to do some kind of a renewal. And, I did it. I realized it's not for me. Particularly that show was not for me because it was written by somebody who was a little bit of an egotist. So he wanted to write and direct and do everything, and he's not really good at writing. So the script doesn't represent Jamaican life at all. And I was so awkward. I was saying things that I would never say in real life. So I laughed at myself when I watched it. So I just stopped. I didn't.
Well, what about if there was a show where you could have an input on the plot and this and that? Do you think you'd like to be a part of that, or it's just acting not so much?
I'm not really inclined towards acting. I feel like for every job there's a professional, and I feel like I would write, but I don't know that I would act. I don't know. I don't think I'd act. I'm not schizophrenic at all. I don't know how to put on another personality. I'm just one person, and whatever you see is what you get. Yeah. It's the same person sitting here who goes on stage, who does everything. So if the script doesn't represent my life, then I can't tell it. So I don't think acting is for me.
That's fair. Now, I know you're very busy and you have a tough schedule, so we're going to wrap up soon, but I got to ask you one more question. What's your opinion on reggae today?
My opinion on reggae? That's so broad. My opinion on reggae. I love reggae music. Reggae music is what made it possible for Tanya Stephens to be sitting here talking to you. I come from a place in Jamaica, in St. Mary, named Richmond, a small town. I am the 6th of 7 children. We were really, really poor. The odds of me sitting here talking to you, so friggin' slim. That, I can't think of anything else that would make this possible besides reggae. So, yeah, I love and respect reggae very much. In every era, you will hear people complaining that it's dying, or because everybody feels like everything has to represent them all the time. But the kids don't think it's dying. This is their reggae. I had my reggae and I still have my reggae. I haven't thrown out my reggae. So if I want to hear my reggae, I listen to my reggae. And then they make their own reggae and I listen to it, and I'm cool.
That's very good. Thank you so much for your time, Tanya. Really appreciate that, and best of luck with the tour and everything.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.